Happy Easter and welcome to Tell the People, a program about our Catholic faith with news and information in and around the Catholic Diocese of Lafayette. I'm Stephanie Bernard. In today's show, Trista Littell has an interview with Carol Maynard and Willa Blackwell about Companions Along the Journey workshop. Father Michael Champine's talk is about the Resurrection, Part 1, in the segment, What It Means to be Catholic. And in a conversation with Bishop Michael Jarrell, Monsignor Richard Green interviews Bishop Jarrell about Holy Week, Part 2. And now, Catholic news on this April 24th weekend. The 11th annual fundraiser, known as Dimes for the Diner, will be held on Wednesday, May 4th. Citizens are encouraged to dine out at their choice of several local restaurants who have agreed to donate 10% of the day's total sales in support of St. Joseph's Diner. St. Joseph's Diner is part of Lafayette Catholic Service Centers and has been helping to feed the needy in Acadiana since 1983. In 2010, the diner was responsible for serving over 50,000 meals to the poor and homeless in the area. The diner also oversees efforts to provide bread and commodity boxes to low-income seniors and to distribute food baskets to those in need during the Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas seasons. The Carmelites of the Monastery of Mary Mother of Grace will be celebrating 75 years in Lafayette with a Mass of Thanksgiving on Monday, May 16th at 5:30 p.m. Bishop Michael Jarrell of Lafayette will be the principal celebrant, and Monsignor Roby Robichaud will be homilist. Everyone is welcome to attend. The Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist in Lafayette will host a prayer service before the start of hurricane season, beginning at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, May 19th. The non-Eucharistic prayer service will be led by Father Chester Arsenault, rector of the cathedral. The Very Reverend Thomas James is also scheduled to attend. The intention of the service is to provide an opportunity for prayer and awareness prior to the start of the 2011 hurricane season, which begins on June 1st. The Lafayette Diocesan Office of ProLife Issues will host a one-day Come to the Well retreat on Saturday, June 24th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Immaculata Center, located at 1408 Carmel Drive in Lafayette. Come to the Well is a retreat designed for those who have suffered the loss of a loved one by suicide, accidental death, infertility, miscarriage, illness, stillbirth, adoption placement, abortion, or any other loss of life. The registration fee is $40 per person or $75 per couple. All participants must pre-register through the Office of Pro-Life Issues at 261-5607. Coming up next, Trista Littell has an interview with Carol Maynard and Willa Blackwell about Companions Along the Journey workshop.
Welcome to Inside the Diocese. I'm Trista Littell, and with me here today are some of my co-workers, Carol Maynard, Director of the Office of Pro-Life Issues, and Willa Blackwell. She's a clinical social worker in the Office of Catholic Social Services, and they're going to be speaking with us today about Companions Along the Journey. So welcome to our program, Carol and Willa.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Willa, let's begin by you telling us about your role in the Office of Catholic Social Services.
Well, I'm a counselor that offers, our office offers free counseling to those who are dealing with an unplanned pregnancy, to the birth parents and their families. We also do home studies, and we assist families with adoption services for those who are choosing that, and we also do post-adoption services to all members of the triad for the lifetime of the adoption, and this is free counseling to people.
Thank you. Well, Carol, tell us about Companions Along the Journey.
Well, it's a ministry, and it's the result of a collaborative effort between the diocesan offices of the Office of Pro-Life Issues and the Catholic Social Services. Will and I serve as co-hosts and co-facilitators for Companions Along the Journey, which is a bereavement support group for those that are suffering the loss of a loved one. So we invite those that are 18 years or older, and those struggling with the loss of a loved one, from like the loss of an unborn child, through infertility, through miscarriage, abortion, or the loss of a loved one through suicide. It could be a child, a parent, a sibling, or a friend, or the untimely death of a child, a spouse, a sibling, or a parent, or the loss of an infant through stillbirth or SIDS.
Now, Willa, how does that work in with the Office of Adoption Services?
Well, even though adoption is a wonderful alternative for people who are not prepared to be parents, it comes at great loss. And so we offer this support to birth parents and their families who are dealing with the loss of that child that they chose to place for adoption. It also is available for adopted adults who are dealing with those loss issues that they have, that they didn't grow up with the family that gave birth to them. And also adoptive parents who had to deal with infertility issues. So we're there to offer that support to all members of the adoption triad.
Thank you. Carol, can you tell us the date, the time when this bereavement support group happens?
We meet on the second Thursday of the month, and the time is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we meet here at the Diocese of Lafayette Immaculata Center. The physical address here is 1408 Carmel Drive, and this is off the old Breaux Bridge Highway. Our next meeting will be April 14th, 2011.
And the diocesan offices are closed in the evening, so people should enter through the side of the building.
That's correct. If they're coming from Louisiana Avenue, they would take the second driveway into Immaculata Center and just park there. Most of the time, one of us is there, to open the door and to greet them.
What takes place in the support group, Companions Along the Journey? We can start with you, Willa. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, we've been meeting now for about a year, and at present what we're doing, what seems to be working, is that it's mostly a support group. We we're using two books, Healing After Loss and Understanding Your Grief. The Healing After Loss is a daily meditation book, and we will start with that and read that together, and that usually will start off discussion. And we use this Understanding Your Grief mainly for educational purposes, but what we found in the group is that most people are coming to share their story, and through sharing that story we find that God begins doing that healing work and helping them to manage the grief better. So usually the educational part is done in handouts that we give them that they take home with them to read for themselves the rest of the month.
Right, and we have like the Bill of Rights to Grieve. That's part of the handouts that we give to them. And also some understandings of the boundaries for the support groups. In other words, we don't give advice to one another. We allow one another to feel the pain of our grief, and we memorialize, or we don't forget about the loved ones, and realize that everybody's grief is unique. While there are some similarities that we can share, that everyone's grief is unique. And the touchstones that we usually provide to them have to do with being open to the presence of loss, dispelling any misconception about grief that's out there, and there are a lot, that are out there. Embrace the uniqueness of your grief. Explore the feelings of loss. A lot of times, we want to just bottle them up because we're so afraid if we begin to express our feelings, we'll never get back our sanity. Because a lot of times, I know after I lost my husband, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. And I was just trying to find a new normal without him. And recognize that the 6 needs of mourning there are some various needs, and how to nurture yourself when you're going and you're doing your grief work. And another one is to seek reconciliation, and the last one is to appreciate your transformation, because you may be going from a we to a me without that loved one, and from an us to an I, which requires being able to share that, to share your story, and find some healing in that sharing.
Well, it sounds like you all have an agenda, but you let the Holy Spirit move it.
Yes,
so it's not
absolutely.
very rigid, and
Right.
I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely. In fact, they don't even get a copy of what's going to happen that night, the agenda. We just let the Holy Spirit, do that. And it takes a lot of trust on our
Absolutely.
part,
Well, if people want to attend this, what do they have to do?
Well, for more information, they can either contact the Office of Pro-Life Issues at 337-261-5607, or they can go on our website, the diocesan website, www.diolaf.org.
Or they can call our office, speak with me. Our number is 337-261-5654. And I do want to also mention that these groups are very confidential, so their story will be kept safe and within the confines of that group only.
Well, Willa and Carol, thank you for being with us today. And folks, if you want to be a part of this bereavement support group, you know how to contact us. So stay tuned, folks. There's more on Tell the People.
Coming up next, Father Michael Champont's talk is about the resurrection, part 1, in the segment, What It Means to Be Catholic.
Good morning, and a very happy Easter to all of our viewers today on this section of What It Means to Be Catholic for Tell the People. Today's Easter Sunday, and we certainly have an exuberance of joy as we have beheld the face of our blessed Lord as it was mocked and scourged and spat upon. His glory, and that fairest of the creatures of men on the face of Jesus, was dimmed to the point where his glory was hidden from our sight on Good Friday, and then down to the throes of death and to the tomb, and then descending into hell on Holy Saturday. Now there were women go to the tomb early in the morning to anoint Jesus' body with oil, what they couldn't do because of observing the Sabbath. Luke tells us they went early on the first day of the week after the Sabbath had been observed, and lo and behold, the stone was moved back from the sepulcher, and they didn't find Jesus' body. And then the appearances began, and the fact of Jesus resurrected, the promise that he had given to the disciples beforehand was manifested, and the women went running with joy to tell Peter and the other apostles that they had seen the Lord. So this is the great mystery, the truth of our faith, of what it means to be Catholic. It's very central, and it's what we want to reflect upon. Our Holy Father, Pope John Paul II, in his New Millennium Beginning letter years ago, said that we had to contemplate the face of Jesus. And of course we contemplate the face of Jesus from the time he's in the manger. That's the incarnation, the Christmas mystery. And then the face of Jesus as a young boy in the temple at the age of 12. And then the face of Jesus on the Mount of Beatitudes, or even his transfigured face on Mount Tabor. The different glimpses in the life of Jesus we get from the Gospels as we meditate in faith and we behold the Father by seeing Jesus, as Jesus told Philip at the Last Supper, he who sees me sees the Father. And during the last few days, we've pondered Jesus' face, as I mentioned at the beginning, that face that was disfigured, the face that became hidden from the glory that he had with his Father, the face that became, like ours, the face of sin. He who is without sin was made sin for us. But Pope John Paul II says that our contemplation of the face of Christ has to